Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
We now know new details about the hours-long standoff near NDSU Monday night, as well as who police say is responsible for it. Court documents filed today show 40-year-old Brandon Grant is now charged with 5 misdemeanors. That includes violating a no-contact order, possession of meth and marijuana, refusing to halt, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Bailey Hurley joins us live in the studio now to tell us what police say happened Monday night. Bailey?
Andrea, court documents say officers were called to a domestic disturbance at 1131 College Street North around 8 Monday night after a caller reported a male punched a vehicle and was arguing with a female. Officers questioned the two as to what was going on, and documents say somehow 40-year-old Brandon Grant slipped away. Now, officers then learned that the woman had a protection order out on Grant and that Grant also had an open warrant out of Fargo. Officers also learned Grant is known to keep a gun in his vehicle. Documents say when officers went to check that vehicle, they saw a loaded magazine on the driver's side floorboard, but no lockbox or gun. Because firearms might be involved and the unknown status of Grant's location, officers then tried to get the children out of the house. Documents say the woman called for her children and banged on the wall to get their attention. However, no one answered and they could not hear any movement. A search warrant was later executed and the 2 young children were safely reunited back with their mother. However, Grant was not inside the home, even though several officers on the perimeter had seen the blinds move and the lights turn on in the vacant unit. Now, officers later searched the rest of the apartment, finding an AR-15, several handgun magazines, a small amount of meth and marijuana, as well as a pipe with residue. Andrea?
All right, Bailey, thank you. Sargent County officials confirmed with Valley News Live late Wednesday night that Grant was arrested in Foreman, North Dakota earlier that afternoon on an unrelated warrant. Online records state Grant is currently booked in the Cass County Jail. Lots of heat and sunshine helping us inch closer to the weekend. But before we get there, we'll have to deal with some stormy weather. Here's Hutch with your no-wait weather. Hutch?
Well, this Thursday evening has turned into a dandy. One thing that's been noticeably different is the lack of wind. Beautiful conditions, temperatures between 75 and even into the low 80s for some of us, as any morning cloud cover has swiftly cleared throughout the afternoon. Here is a look at your planning forecast for this evening. Temperatures slipping down into the 70s by the time we get closer to sunset. It looks quiet through the evening hours in Fargo and in Grand Forks. However, by morning, some of us may be seeing some rumbles of thunder. Friday's forecast includes a risk for severe storms across North Dakota and the Valley. I'll have hour-by-hour details on that coming up in just a few moments.
All right. Thanks, Hutch. You might recognize this picture. Grand Forks police put this image out on social media back in August, hoping to find out who the man in the picture is. They asked, and you came through. Thanks to tips from social media users, Grand Forks police were able to catch and arrest Rick Nagowski. He is accused of breaking into apartment complex's laundry room, breaking the machine's locks, and stealing about $300 worth of coins. He's now being charged with burglary, criminal mischief, and theft. The search continues for 2 people who ditched their vehicle after a police chase in Moorhead. A Clay County Sheriff's deputy tried pulling over a driver around 2 this morning because the car had no license plates, but the driver kept going. The chase started along 30th Avenue South and ended in the 1100 block of 16th Street South when the car hit a parked vehicle. Deputies believe 2 people were in the car and took off running. A perimeter was set up, but officers and a canine team did not find the suspects. House Democrats have unveiled a plan to lower prescription drug costs, a goal shared by President Donald Trump. The plan would allow Medicare to negotiate lower prices on as many as 250 of the most expensive drugs and apply those same discounts to private health plans. And Democrats have introduced an index to price drugs in line with what other industrialized nations pay. And they would penalize pharmaceutical companies that don't negotiate drug pricing agreements. Speaker Nancy Pelosi said drug prices are one issue that all members of Congress and the president agree needs to be addressed.
Always said in our meetings that when you travel the country, the issue of the cost of prescription drugs is one subject that can make grown men cry.
The new plan will be introduced in House committees before a floor vote.
Especially last winter, the weather was terrible, and that's not good because it's a death sentence if they don't get their dialysis.
For patients on dialysis, receiving regular treatment is a matter of life or death. And that's why one Park Rapids family says things are about to get much harder as the local facility closes its doors next month. Valley News Team's Rose Itzkovitz has more on the impact and what the center calls the broken healthcare system that caused the shutdown.
It's devastating, really, for the families. There's like 30 families here that use dialysis every week.
Barbara Wheeler Rasmussen lives right by this DaVita Dialysis Center, which she says has been great for her 84-year-old dad.
When the roads are bad and the weather's bad, it's very convenient because we're here. We don't have to worry about him being on the road.
But that's about to change. She got this letter a couple weeks ago saying the center made the difficult decision to close its doors on October 25th after exhausting any attempts to save costs.
It's going to be very, very inconvenient for all of us.
Now her dad has to travel to Detroit Lakes. What is that, like a in bad weather?
45 minutes to an hour. Well, bad weather, who knows? But
3 times a week. The center is closed on Thursday, but a spokesperson sent us a statement faulting a broken system in healthcare, saying in part, our center is financially unsustainable. Dialysis providers are underpaid for the care we give to 90% of patients. The statement explains that's because those 90% are covered by government programs that fail to cover the actual cost of dialysis treatment.
The veterans paid for my dad and had no problem at all.
The center says it's an issue that disproportionately harms rural areas like Park Rapids, where patients have fewer options for care.
The doctors are here. He knows the nurses and the social workers and everybody, and they love him and he loves them.
Wheeler Rasmussen says the center's been helpful in placing her dad somewhere else.
It's going to be starting all over again, and it's hard at 84 to do that.
He'll already start traveling to Detroit Lakes this Monday. In Park Rapids, Minnesota, Rose Itzkovitz, Valley News Live.
We reached out to Sanford and Essentia hospitals about this issue. Essentia sent us a statement saying they're exploring options to have dialysis services in Park Rapids, adding that they understand the importance of care close to home. For more on the statement, head to our website and click on this story. Good news for hunters. The North Dakota Game and Fish Department reports wetland conditions are great for duck hunting. Its annual fall wetland survey indicates good to excellent conditions throughout the state. Wetland conditions had been declining now for a few years. A migratory game bird biologist says that's thanks to an abundant snowmelt and rainfall over spring and summer. People in Grand Forks County can expect to see crews spraying for mosquitoes tonight. The cities of Grand Forks and East Grand Forks will begin spraying around 7:30. The equipment will be noisy and traveling at 10 to 15 miles an hour while spraying. The vehicles are identified as having flashing yellow lights. The spraying is scheduled to be finished by midnight. West Nile virus was identified in the region earlier this summer, so both cities are urging people to take extra precautions to avoid being bitten. Don't forget to catch the Bison as they square off against UC Davis Saturday for a top 5 matchup at the Fargo Dome. Coverage will begin at 1:30 Saturday afternoon for the Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show, with kickoff to cover at 2:30 on the KVLY and KFYR Bison Football Network.